Hello crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a stamping mask using your brother ScanNCut. The stamp set we'll be using is called Happy Tales. It's by Stampin Up and it is part of our Occasions catalog, which was just launched on January 3rd. Okay, so you see this little doggy here. It's pretty darn awesome. Okay, and this stamp set also comes with a coordinating punch. Hey, I can see me. Okay, so there's a doggy, but when you use the coordinating punch, it puts a little white outline distance around the dog. So that doesn't help us for what we want to do. We're going to make a stamping mask. So before I start using the Brother ScanNCut, I need to show you what a stamping mask is so that you have a complete understanding of what we're about to do. A stamping mask is when you take your stamped image, and this is the stamped image under here, by the way. Okay, so this is stamped image, and you create a mask so that you can then color just the image, okay? So you're masking out the background. Okay, so that's the concept. And some people use the inside of the mask and then they would cover up the dog and then color in the background with something else. Or you can actually, in our case, we're gonna be blocking out the background and coloring in the dogs. Okay, so why is this important? Well, I actually mass produce a lot of projects. I mass produce for samples, for classes, for craft fairs, and this just makes it super, super easy. And I'll be showing you my examples of the dogs that I've colored and how I color those as well. Okay, so we're gonna scan in the stamped image. Let me just pull this. This is what the one we're actually gonna use is this stamped image here. Now you can save the data to your machine if you want to keep that mask and use it over and over again, or resize the mask. But in our case, we're just gonna use the direct cut, and we're gonna use the direct cut, we're gonna switch the paper out, and we're gonna make a black mask. All right, so let me show you a better look at our catalog. Happy Tales, super cute. This is the page 33. I've sent PDFs out to everyone on my mailing list, so if you're not on my mailing list, please let me know. Okay, there you go. Okay, and it's really cool because when we come out with punches, you can save 10% by buying the bundle with the punch together. And if you do, you're halfway there. You're over halfway there to a free item. We have lots of free items to earn during celebration. All right, and I'm going to show you that the punch is really cool too. So you don't just want the stamp set. The punch is really cool as well. All right, so okay to retrieve. Let's just cancel this. We're going to start out with you turn on your Brother ScanNCut, and we want to just say pattern. I'm sorry, we don't want to say pattern. We want to say scan. Okay, and we're going to say direct cut. Like I said, if you want to take your little doggy shape that we're doing and you want to save it and use your mask over and over again, or resize your mask or something, you would use scan to cut data. But in this case, we're just going to make a mask out of this doggy. So we're going to use direct cut, save it to the machine, use black and white recognition mode, and that's all. So we'll stick don't want you to miss any steps, stick the little doggy to the mask. I'll just stick it up here in the left-hand corner of my mat. Losing some stickiness, so use a little piece of painter's tape to hold my dog in place. Because when we want to cut out, then I'm gonna scan in the dog. I'm gonna select the outline of the dog, and I'm not even gonna add an outline distance. I'm just gonna make that shape and cut it out. Okay, so let's load the mat. It'll make more sense really after we do it, honestly, folks. And we're gonna say start. This is one of those tutorials you're like, oh, what a cool use for the ScanNCut, because I've been fuzzy cutting my mask all these times. If you're a stamper, you've probably used mask before, and you probably had to fuzzy cut, and now this is going to save you a lot of time, and it's also going to be way more accurate. And it's pretty cool because it actually outlines the rigid outlines of the dog. All right, so here's our doggy. We're going to say okay, and we're just going to select this area because we only want to select the doggy, and we can ignore object size, or we can just get rid of that little. Let's see. Well, let's still ignore object size. Let's ignore. I'm not sure if there's any little stray bits, so just in case, we'll ignore anything up to 1/2 inch. Yeah, there was some stray bits, and we don't want to manually delete those. I just focus so you see what's going on. Okay, there we go. So we're deleting all the stray bits, and we're going to say okay. Now, there's our dog. We're going to cut it out. If you've watched my tutorials before, you're like, hey, there's no outline distance. That is true. We're not using an outline distance because this is a stamping mask. And you don't want an outline distance for a stamping mask. You just want to cut the exact shape that you just scanned in, okay? But very important is, we don't want to make a stamping mask out of this because this is he's a perfectly good little doggy that we're going to color with my sponging technique I'm going to show you. So we want to make a stamping mask out of black cardstock because black cardstock, or any cards, I actually do tutorials on how to make it out of acrylic sheets, which are stencil sheets, and then you need the deep cut blade, yada, yada, yada. We're not doing all that. We're just going to use a piece of Stampin' Up! Black cardstock. So what I'm doing is I'm just laying that right where in the corner, and we're going to cut the stamping mask out of black cardstock. All right, so let me just show you now. Normally I use a blade depth of 3 for designer series paper, which I was cutting earlier, but for black cardstock, Stampin' Up! Cardstock's really nice and strong and thick. I use it for my card bases. Anyway, I'm going to use a blade depth of 5 for Stampin' Up's cardstock. Okay, black cardstock. You just use the blade depth that you see fit for whatever your projects are. Okay, so in case I've lost you, our little dog is still on the screen. We just didn't cut out the dog on white paper. We had to scan it on the white paper, but now we're going to cut the dog on black paper. If you get confused, please watch this tutorial again, and actually I'll link to some of the other tutorials I've done on creating stamping mask. All right, so there we are. There's a little dog. We're going to cut it onto black cardstock. Let's just say cut, and let's say start. It's really not going to take a minute, but the minute is like the default, or not the default, but the smallest value it shows. Okay, exciting, exciting. There it is. It's all cut, and I'm going to go ahead and say okay and unload the mat. Okay, now here's what we have. We have a stamping mask. Okay, let's pull it off and show you. There's the little doggy. Save this. Save this little doggy silhouette because it's perfect for using for other projects, which I'll show you. Okay, now here's our mask. And now I'm going to show you how we go about using the mask. Okay. So why don't we just use the one we just scanned, okay? So here we just scanned this doggy, okay? And now we've made a perfect mask to put over the doggy, okay? Now, sometimes if you want, I just do this to a whole sheet at once, and I'm going to show you that. But right now, since I'm only doing one doggy, I'm just going to tape the back only because I'm trying to do a demonstration here. Normally, you wouldn't have to tape the back or anything. You're just hold your mask over the paper. Okay, so let me leave that there. Let me close my ScanNCut. All right, let me show you what I mean, and then we'll go ahead and sponge. Okay, so here I would just stamp a bunch of doggies on the paper, and then I have a mask, and I just would put that over the first dog, right? Sponge, sponge, sponge. It takes 5-10 seconds, and then move it to the next one. Sponge, 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 sponge. Okay, so super easy. And the more you sponge, the darker your dog becomes. And by the way, this is Smoky Slate. That is the name of the color that I used. Okay, by Stampin' Up. Smoky Slate is the color I used for these dogs, and it just comes out in different shades of gray. All right, so there's the doggies, and I did some more. Okay, I did crumb cake. We'll do this one as well in crumb cake. So this is called tone on tone. When you have crumb cake cardstock and then you actually sponge in the same color, it's called like tone on tone stamping, which is kind of cool. Okay, so that's that color. We'll go ahead and we'll sponge him just for reinforcement when I'm done sponging this white one. Okay, and then I did a bunch on white Whisper white cardstock, and I've already punched them out with the doggy punch. So here's one that I sponged using. Okay, and then also at this moment, I'm going to take a second to just explain why you wouldn't want to use the doggy punch. See, if you were just to use the doggy punch to try to create a mask, you get all that extra white around the outside. So that's why we're not using the doggy punch to create a mask. But if that's all you have, you don't have a Brother ScanNCut, and you're watching this tutorial, and you really want this doggy stamp set, which will be linked in my description, then of course use what you have. Use the doggy punch. It's an okay mask. It's just that it's going to go outside the lines. That's all. Okay, so there's crumb cake again. All right, where was I? I'm going to show you how I sponge color. Maybe I'll just turn my little camera a little better, so at a better angle for you. And then you can kind of look down on what I'm doing. But don't look down upon me. All right, don't mind me. I get a little crazy on weekends. Okay, so here, crumb cake. We have crumb cake. We're gonna open it up. It's just one of the older stamp pads. What's nice about the older stamp pads is when you squeeze them, you can get a little bit of ink on the lid, right? Which is great for sponging, and the new stamp pads don't let you do that, but that's okay. You can just use your sponge directly on the stamp pad if you have to. Now I'm using one of these handy sponges that I'll link to in the description, and they're just like, you just put them on and you just sort of Velcro them on. Okay, and then I'm gonna get some color, just a little circular motion of color, and then I'm just gonna sponge my doggy. Okay, notice that there's not much there because I only did one layer of sponging, but in a few seconds you could have pretty even coverage. You can go in little circular motions, or first you can tap, but then you can also go in circular motions. And it looks a little washed out, but it's actually pretty dark. So let me get it closer and focus so you can see. It's actually kind of darker than you think. See, pretty cool. And I think that's good enough. I mean, we'll do another one. We'll do the crumb cake one. Okay, so you can see how, you just go down the line and you can just mass produce these, your little, and you get perfect. You get to sponge color perfect doggies. And you can just go through and do this so quickly. Okay, conversely, if you wanted to color the background of your cards or something, you save this little shape, you put it on your dog with removable glue dot. You always want to use removable glue dot because you don't want to rip your paper. And then you can color the whole outside of your scene, lift this off, and your dog is showing. So that's the reverse way to use what I'm showing you. All right, so where's our mask? Let's do this one. It's called Tone on Tone. We're just going to flip and get some more crumb cake ink. So see, don't get rid of those old stamp pads just because we have new ones. Even if you do get the new ones because we have better ink now, better ink formulas, I still like to keep my old ones because of that reason, because I like that. All right, so I'm going to put my mask down. And see, I told you I usually don't even tape my mask down. I just lay it there. And then I just kind of press on the paper. Okay, and this is crumb cake, by the way. It's just washed out because I have a bright light on. And we're just going to do some sponging on our doggies. And by the way, this stamp set has little spots. You can put spots on your dog too. I made plain doggies for now because I'm excited. I just got the set. I'll mess with the spots later. Yay for the doggy. Okay, he's crumb cake. He's done. Look how great. He's even darker than the one next to him. Okay, now I'm going to show you the punch. Then I'm going to show you the project I've done. So please stick around. All right, the punch. The doggy punch. Is that what it's called? Yep, it's called Dog Builder Punch. Dog Builder Punch. Okay, all our punches are heavy duty. And you just go right in there. And you just line it up. So you can make your stamping mask. You can color in all your doggies. And then punch away and you'll get a nice little outline. And it's very quick. And you'll actually get a little heart, which is kind of hard to cut out with the ScanNCut because it's so small. And you'll get a little heart as a bonus for each one. And this you get with the ScanNCut, these have like a pretty close outline distance. So there's our dog with the doggy punch. And of course you could use your ScanNCut. I know you're wondering, why don't you just use that? Well, you could, but I have the punch. So I'm going to save time and use the best tool for the job, right? Use whatever you have. Okay, so there's this one. We won't punch him out yet. We'll punch one of these just so you see the white. I just want to show you how it's easier to see when I'm punching out a dog on white paper. So you just got it, I'm at a little bit of an angle, but really when you use a punch, the best thing is just to be kind of hovering above it to get the best angle. How awesome are all these little doggies though? All right, so now I told you to save this, okay? So let's start out with something sad. I'm going to show you my first project, which is a pet sympathy card. And what I did is I saved the inside of my mask and I made a pet sympathy card. Because actually, when you're on Facebook and friends tell you they lost their pets and you get very sad because like they're man's best friend, right? So very sad. So that was like my first project. And then I moved on to happier things. All right, so here's the card I created, and I wanted to make it simple, not flashy. I'm a card maker. I didn't want to be like all these crazy designs because I didn't want to take away from the message. A best friend leaves a paw print on our heart. Okay, so that's this silhouette. And what's nice about it is like you can turn it this way. I thought it looked better this way. Okay, so I used the ScanNCut for this whole project. I use a piece of crushed curry cardstock. Okay, and then I created the matting and the heart with the Brother ScanNCut, so it came out exactly. It's a 4-inch heart, which is one of the built-in patterns that you have. And then this is, the sentiment from the stamp set. And then like how big the sentiment is. See? A best friend leaves a paw print in your heart. And so I got the little paw from here too. I stamped those in black, basic black. And I will now show you the paper that I used. Okay, so the designer series paper is from our masculine set. Every occasions catalog we have a masculine set. And in this case, it's called like a geared up garage, or I'm sorry, classic garage suite. It's brand new to me, so I have to get the names right. Classic garage suite. I guess geared up garage was, it's the name of the stamp set in the suite. Pretty cool for Father's Day, etc. But here's the paper I use, classic garage designer series paper. Now this paper is awesome, and I'm going to be doing tutorials on how to cut out those little gears. Let me just zoom in. You see what I mean? I'm going to be definitely cutting those little, not gears, tools. You see, I don't know much about that. Okay, tools later, but let's not digress. In this paper stack, there are such cool like masculine and textured papers, okay? So I chose to use this gray one, and I used a couple of these for the toppers that I'm going to show you from the dog treats I'm going to show you. And where's the paper here? I used a crushed, one of the coordinating colors was here, crushed curry, okay? So I figured this would be a good thing for the heart because it has a little bit of texture to it, and it goes along with the background of the crushed curry. And then on the inside of the card, sorry for your loss. Very simple, and it's not flashy, and it gets to the point of, somebody lost their pet. All right, so let's move on to my other projects. So my friend Marty sent me these cute little boxes, and they're called pillow boxes. And she's like, oh, maybe you can use these. I'm not using them. So I was like, well, heck yeah, let's stamp them. So I stamped them, and then I made little tags, and I kept one, there's a tag for those. And then I used this little baker's twine I had from my Toil and Trouble, or I don't know if it's called Toil and Trouble. It was one of my like Halloween paper pumpkin kits. I used that little twine I had, and I think that just looks super cute. And the little heart came out of the punch. And what you can do is just give somebody, not someone, some furry friend, some doggy treats. Okay? So two milk bone doggy treats fit in here exactly. Okay, so that's something you can do with our new Stampin' Up. Happy Tales. Again, Happy Tales from our occasions catalog. Okay, now I did some more doggy treats. I kind of like these better because they're visible, like, because someone might just go, oh, it's decorated as a dog, and they might think there's like human treats in here. And so you're like, got to be careful who you give it to because they're like, huh? Okay, but these are really, people, when you give these to them for their dogs, like, I'm a dog aunt, right? So like my brother has a dog, for example. So then then they can see that it's for the dog when you put it in the care packages and things. So again, we use the mask. I sponge colored in crumb cake, and then I just use 1-inch circle punches for these sentiments for the tag toppers. And again, this is that same designer series paper from the Classic Garage. Oh, here's what I was trying to show you, that you can fit 4 Milk-Bone dog biscuits in these, and these are from these little cellophane bags are from our annual catalog. They are called like 2 by, I believe, 8-inch cellophane bags, could be 10, but it's in the annual catalog, so look up cellophane bags and you'll find those cute little bags. Okay, next I'm going to show you a bookmark that I created, and I'm using some burlap from our annual catalog, some crushed curry, I'm not sure if that's available, where I got that from, and this sentiment, keep calm and wag on. And for that sentiment, I stamped it in this color, soft suede. And there's our little doggy punch. Okay, so now you have a bookmark, which is super cute. Happy Tales bookmark. Okay, and lastly, My last project is something you can do with any of your punches. Like I'll tell you about another one in a minute. You have a little dog, and if you punch out one and you decorate it and everything, and then you punch out another one and you turn it around, and then you can just glue their heads together. And then I just made a little Hershey Kiss treat. Okay, that was just me folding some cardstock 1 inch wide, and I just folded the cardstock and made myself a little. I have so many leftover Hershey Kisses from Christmas that I was like, oh, make a little stand-up dog. You can put that on your friend's desk or something. I mean, how cute. Or just put it anywhere. I mean, and you know, they can pop out the Hershey Kiss, and you know they can keep the little, see, eat the Hershey Kiss, and then they can keep the little doggy on their desk, which is cool. All right, so now you're wondering, all right, what about the cats? What about the cat lovers? No fair. No, Stampin' Up thought of it, okay? Here's what we have, 9 lives. I haven't done anything with it yet, but here's the stamp set. I did get it because I love cats. I have cats, so here's this cool stamp set. So yes, you could do the same technique we just did with the cat, make a stampin' mask, but I think I'm gonna use the Stamparatus to do some 2-step stamping where you stamp the cat and then on top of it you stamp the stripes or the patterns, which are pretty cool. Now, do we have a coordinating punch? Yes, but not in the occasions catalog, which I'm showing you right now. It is from our annual catalog. Okay, I hope there's not too much of a glare on this punch. So my punch has got a lot of use because last year it was like a Halloween thing in the holiday catalog. So I bought it, and there it is. It coordinates perfectly with the 9 lives stamp set. So I will be trying to do a tutorial on that in the future. But right now I'm working with Happy Tails. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you can be inspired of what you can do with this stamp set, what you can do with stamping masks in general with any stamps you have, and just what you can do for your friends with pets. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe to my channel if you're new here. See you in the next tutorial.